Over the past few years, I've cut way back on my social media consumption for a variety of reasons, but one of the big ones was that I was losing my joy in homemaking due to comparing myself to other women online. And I know that might sound a bit crazy or even extreme, especially since you're watching this video on social media. However, I'd like to just chat with you about how I have dealt with and am still at times dealing with comparing myself to other people, both online and even just in real life, to hopefully be an encouragement to you as well. So while we chat, I will be finally painting the trim here in my hallway and getting some decluttering done in the closet, as well as sharing a Costco grocery haul with you. So this video has some random things in it, but it's all related to taking care of my home, and I hope that it's motivating to you today. We have been in our current home for over 7 years, and during that time, I have been afraid to paint over the wood trim in our upstairs. I did it in our basement, but the upstairs, I just could not get myself to do it because I remember my mom saying that she didn't know how anyone would want to paint over wood trim. And she said that because in the home that I grew up in, she stripped all the paint off of the trim in our home. And so I always had that in the back of my mind that no one's supposed to paint over wooden trim. But I really love the look of white trim and I really wanted to brighten up our hallway. So last week I finally just bit the bullet and I went for it and I painted our hallway and it looks so much better. I wish that I hadn't have waited so long to do it, but it's just one of those things that I had talked myself out of doing because I was worried that it was the wrong thing to do. And I think that is something that we as women just do in general. We look to others and we think that they are doing it the right way. And especially when it comes to homemaking, like it's almost like there's one way to do it, the right way or the wrong way. And if you're not doing it that way, then you must not be doing it correctly. But the thing is that it can really be exhausting comparing ourselves to other women, whether it is online or whether it is in person. And just like the painting thing, it worked for my mom to have wood trim, but I love white trim. And so I'm planning on painting the rest of our home eventually in small steps with the white trim, and that's okay. But I wanted to share something else that is kind of silly, but it's an experience that I had a few years ago. I saw women all over online baking with sourdough. And there were some people in my real life, in our little homeschool group, who also were baking with sourdough. And I just thought that it was something that I needed to do in order to be a real homemaker. I had to have a jar of sourdough starter on my kitchen counter, and I needed to be making these beautiful artisan breads all the time. And so I decided I was going to do it. So I tried it out. And I had the sourdough starter on my kitchen counter for a couple of weeks, and I tried making a couple of things with sourdough. But let me tell you, I could not stand the smell of the sourdough in my kitchen, and my family did not like the things that I had made. And honestly, it was a little tedious just every day feeding the sourdough and then making sure you were discarding some of it. And it was all just a little bit overwhelming for me, and it was not fun at all. It was actually pretty stressful. But something that is fun for me and that I do enjoy doing is baking with yeast. So when I make bread or rolls or a pizza dough, I use yeast. And after a couple weeks of trying to make the sourdough work, I just realized it wasn't for me. And I thought that making sourdough products was going to make me a better homemaker. But honestly, it just made me more frustrated. And I'm not bashing sourdough. I personally like the taste of it, even though my family doesn't. And if you love baking with sourdough, please know that that is great. And I'm not bashing that at all. I'm glad that it works for you. But the lesson that I learned is that homemaking is not a one-size-fits-all thing. Yes, there are certain basics that we all must accomplish. We all have to get laundry done, do the dishes, make meals. We have to clean the house. We have to organize a closet. We have to deal with the finances. But the way in which we do those things can look different. We are all uniquely created by a God who loves us and wants us to find our fulfillment in Him, not in trying to compare ourselves to what we see online or to a friend or to a family member. And really, trying the sourdough, it was a good thing to do. I'm glad that I tried it because it stretched me. It helped me to learn what I like and what I don't like. The problem wasn't really in trying the new thing in trying the sourdough. In fact, I remember trying yeast years ago and I didn't have success with it at first. And so I kind of just took a break from it. And then I tried it again and I was successful. And now I love baking with it. So I may end up using sourdough again and loving it. I don't know. But the real problem was not in trying something new. It was my heart and it was my mindset around trying it. I had in my mind that in order to be a good homemaker, I had to be baking with sourdough. And it seemed like every other person that I saw on the internet or in, on a YouTube video or on Pinterest or wherever was baking with sourdough. And so I thought that I had to do that. And when it didn't work out, I felt discouraged and that maybe I just wasn't measuring up. There was something wrong with me. And it really just took me a moment of honest reflection to realize that I was comparing myself to other people and thinking that I had to live up to what was happening in their lives instead of what was working out for me. And the truth is, God doesn't ask me to be like, Susie homemaker, making sourdough. But God does ask me to do the thing that He has called me to do. This little closet is looking so much better now that it is decluttered and organized and just functioning better. I do have some picture frames that I have been collecting, and eventually I'm going to put a gallery wall in our hallway of just family pictures. But let's go back to talking about the sourdough. It was a lesson when I really stopped and thought about it. It was a lesson just in me saying, you know what, I need to cut back on some of my social media consumption, and so I thought, if I was watching a YouTube channel that left me feeling like I wasn't doing enough or that I was doing homemaking in a wrong way, there were some channels that I just totally unsubscribed to, some that I just cut back watching because I knew that it wasn't good for me. And it was nothing personal to that creator, but there's plenty of other channels to watch who do things differently than I do, but I want to be inspired by what I'm spending my time on, especially when it comes to social media. And I get to choose what I meditate on and what I focus on. And so I knew that I needed to cut back on things that were just causing me to feel like I wasn't doing homemaking in the right way. I know some of you love to see grocery hauls, and I don't always do a great job at showing them, but this is a quick Costco haul. These are things that I get almost all the time when I go there. I love getting their fresh berries and other produce, so I grabbed some blueberries and blackberries, and then I also picked up some meat. I love getting the ground beef there and the chicken breasts, skinless, boneless chicken breasts. I just break all this apart and then freeze it and have it for a couple of weeks, sometimes 3 weeks. And then I also grabbed some potatoes. It's such a great price, and we have potatoes almost all the time. And then also some sweet potatoes. I like to have those for lunches. And then I did grab some plain Greek yogurt as well. It's a great price there, and I like to have it for breakfast with berries and a little bit of honey and cinnamon. And then I grabbed some string cheese as well. My husband takes those in lunches, and this one just tastes really good and it lasts us a good while. So I'm going to go ahead and put all of these groceries away, and then we will get back to our conversation all about comparing and just how we can find satisfaction in our own lives. And I'm going to talk specifically about where we can turn to as Christians when we need to think about what is it that God has called us to do instead of comparing ourselves to others. Here on my channel, I really hope that I can be a motivation to you and an encouragement. And today is really just a simple reminder not to compare yourself to other women. And, one of the quotes that my mom used to share with me a lot was, bloom where you are planted. And I know that's probably an overused one, but it really is just, when you think about it, God has planted you where He has. And you don't need to compare, the soil or the sunshine that you get to someone else's. So in other words, the circumstances that you have, your abilities, the training that you have had through, and the experiences that you have had throughout your life are going to be different to someone else. They're specific to you. And God didn't make a mistake in how He created you, the abilities He gave you, the experiences that you had, the home that you have, your husband, your kids, whatever season of life you find yourself in, don't compare yourself to someone else's. Think about, how can you bloom? How can you flourish and do better in the place that God has put you today? So when you do see other people online, or maybe even in real life, maybe you're talking to a mom friend who is milling her own flour. That is something else I've thought about doing, and who knows, maybe I will eventually. But maybe you hear someone else talking about that or seeing someone else doing it, and you think, oh, I should be doing that too. If it is causing you to stress out and to feel like, oh, I'm doing things wrong, that doesn't necessarily mean you're supposed to be doing it. And so I really would encourage you to do as Proverbs 3:5-6 says. It says to lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him. And I know it may sound silly, but even just making the decision of, should I be, using all non-toxic cleaning in my home? Should I be baking with sourdough? Should I try to learn how to make all my food from scratch? And if that's starting to kind of stress you out and you're thinking, I don't know if I can handle all that, take it to God in prayer and ask Him, is this what you would have me to do? And He will give you a peace one way or another about it. And that's really where we need to go, is ask God for wisdom rather than looking online all the time at all these different voices, because sometimes it can be exhausting just thinking about all the different ways that people do homemaking, when we just need to focus on ourselves. Look to others for inspiration, ask God for guidance, but then make the decision that's going to be the best for you and your family. Because really, that's where you find joy and peace. And I have gotten better at it over the years that I've been a homemaker, but it's still something that I have to continually remind myself of and that I have to work on. And I don't know that there will ever be a day when I'm just finally, completely at peace where I never compare myself to anyone else, but it's definitely better than it used to be. And so, that's something that we can work on together, you and me. And I will continue to encourage you here on my channel with that. And if you haven't yet, be sure to check out my free homemaking checklist that I will leave linked below.